All right,
Yes,
recording.
it's up
Whoops,
there now. Now we see that.
cool. All right, everybody ready? How do I get rid of that black thing? All right. Okay, everybody, so we're ready to start our annual Title I meeting. My name is Tiffany O'Brien, Chief Academic Officer, and I have Tamara Class, our Elementary Chief School Director, Cliff Harmon, our Secondary Chief School Director, and Jamal George, our Student Services Manager. And tonight we're going to cover, I'm going to just kind of give an explanation of what Title I is. I'm going to talk about what our school-wide Title I program is at EEACS. I'm going to hit on the major components of what a school-wide program is. I'm going to share our budget from this past school year, talk about events for the 21-22 school year, and then review our parent and family engagement policy. So Title I is the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, which is also known as ESEA, and it provides financial assistance to local educational agencies and schools with high numbers or high percentages of children from low-income families to help ensure that all children meet challenging state academic standards. Federal funds are currently allocated through 4 statutory formulas that are based primarily on census poverty estimates and the cost of education in each state. So what you really need to know about the program is the goal is really just to provide extra help to students who need it most. These are children who are not meeting standards set for all students. The program serves millions of children in elementary and secondary schools each year, and services may be provided at a public school, a private school, or in our case, a charter school. Title I is about giving all children a chance. Some students may not have all the advantages that other students have, so the goal is to help those children get a good education. Title I services can be provided to the whole school or a targeted population of students who are falling behind. So at our school, we have a school-wide program, which we developed a few years back. When we first started, we were a targeted program, but now we are a school-wide program. And really what that means is we can offer all services to all students. So the way we do that is through our multi-tiered system of support, which is referred to as our MTSS program. And what that really is, you can see on the right, there's an umbrella of MTSS, and that is the overarching system where we support students in the areas of behavior, social, emotional, and academics. So when we're looking at students, we have them broken into, well, we have 3 tiers of support, and our tier 1 is our core instruction. So what all students receive every single day in the classroom, no matter what. Tier two is our strategic intervention. So that's when we're giving students some additional support if they're falling behind, or if we notice there's some deficits in certain areas. We make time in the day to give them extra support. And then tier 3 is an intense intervention. So those are kids who are significantly behind or need that more frequent and intense intervention time throughout the day. And again, these are supports for academic, behavior, and social emotional skills. So I'm going to go through all 3 of those areas, starting with the instructional supports, just to kind of do a little overview of each one. So for instructional supports, again, we provide all students with opportunities to master grade level standards. So at that tier 1 level is that what we call core instruction. So all the teachers are teaching their regular lessons to students in their classroom every day, and all students have access to that. That tier 2 is usually during a small group time. So when students are receiving more strategic support, it's always based on assessment data. And they have that additional extra practice and review of skills and standards that's happening usually during like a centers period at the elementary level, or during just small group time. And that can happen in the elementary, the middle, or the high school, or it could happen during our I&E period. And then that third tier is when students with intense needs are pulled by a specialist to receive that intensive intervention. And that's usually done in a small group setting or one-on-one. And most times that happens during the I&E period. Behavior supports, again, we want to provide all students with opportunities to be safe and to learn functional behavioral skills through our normative culture. So many people have probably heard of our normative culture. It's just the way we operate at our school with norms rather than rules. And all of our expected behaviors are provided or pretty much instructed to students throughout our assembly time and our GGI small group time first thing in the morning and throughout the school day. So looking at that tier 1 support, that is where we do our school-wide behavior system. All the students get rated every week. So that is something that all students have access to. We try to give them feedback on their behavior and help them to improve and become positive students. And then we always support students at that tier 1 level in the classroom. Obviously, teachers have to deal with behaviors in their classrooms through differentiation for students. And at that tier 2 level, that's where we have our counselor groups and our lunch bunch. Sometimes kids just need a little extra support there. So we have our counselor or our counselors pull small groups based on students. We also have behavior groups that we have our community coaches support students with, and also sometimes team leaders. Looking at that tier 3 level, again, that's where it's either a one-on-one support session with our counselor or our community coach or team leader, or it is a continuance of that small group and maybe it's more frequent. A lot of times we also offer students with a behavior plan here. And then lastly, the social emotional support for students. This is where we provide all students with the opportunities to acquire and effectively apply the knowledge, attitudes, and skills necessary to understand and manage emotions, set and achieve positive goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. So this is kind of something that we do throughout our normative culture every day with students. And at that tier 1 level, we are integrating that into our core curriculum. Right now it's being integrated at the elementary level, and we're looking at how we can do that more at the middle and the high school level, but we also do it at the tier 1 level during our GGI time first thing in the morning. That tier 2 time is also the counselor groups. They're pulling students to work on social emotional skills. And then tier 3 again is that smaller group or that one-on-one counseling session. Sometimes we do some with our school psychologists, we do some services there, and then either with a community coach or team leader. So the major components of the school-wide program, just we have to be transparent and make sure we are communicating what we're spending our money on. So our budget and how we're supporting students with the money that we receive, because our Title I funds are federal funds. And then we also have our school parent student compact, which is basically an agreement that we have, and we push it out every single year so that all parents and students can see we enter the school year, all with a mutual agreement to work to support students in their growth and achievement. And then we have our parent and family involvement, which is something that the Title I refers to as the Parent Advisory Council, so the PAC, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes and what our goal is to do with the PTC and the PAC this upcoming school year. And then our staff professional development and any of the resources that we align to support students. Those are our major components of the school-wide program. So here we have a survey, and I'm going to link it into the chat for you, for anyone at the end to take the survey. But we're really looking this year, this upcoming school year, I should say, to get feedback from parents and elicit what kinds of events and workshops and activities that you are interested in. We haven't had the biggest participation in parents in the past couple of years. So we'd like to increase that participation, and we'd like to get some feedback on the kinds of events that we're doing, and also just get some more participation on the parent end with those events or those workshops or different activities that we offer students.
So, Tiff, let me say one thing. So I know Dawn is there. So, we have in the lower school, we have monthly events, and at times we have people coming and support it. So Mr. George will be leading the PTC meetings, and I'm going to share with him eventually when all the dates and events are ready, so you guys can support it. But it will be good in those meetings after people complete the survey to figure it out what you guys are interested in, like help you to run with it, you know? So I don't know, Jamal, do you know exactly when are we going to be doing the meetings?
Excuse me, folks, I had to unmute myself. Good afternoon, good evening to all. Right now, we still haven't solidified a schedule as of yet, but we want to do our meetings somewhere in and around the time where the board meetings take place. So probably around the second Tuesday of every month. So that way we can come up with anything that we want to display for the board meeting in a timely enough fashion.
Sounds good.
So also something that we need to share with our stakeholders is our parent and family engagement policy. So there is a link here. Again, I'm going to throw that in the chat at the end for you to review. It's also on our website. So if there's ever any questions about our policy or recommendations on what should be changed, we can always do that at any time, but it's definitely something that I like to bring to the attention of the parents and stakeholders at the annual meeting. So the last thing here I have is just our budget from this past year. It was $733,394. So it's a big chunk of money, as you can see. And what we like to do at EEACS is spend it on our staff, because then we can ensure that the supports that we want to provide students are going to happen, and rather than spending it on a curriculum program or something that might fall through the cracks. So here, this past year, we spent the money on a reading specialist, a math specialist, a librarian/reading interventionist. Actually, 2 of those we had in the building this year. 1 math interventionist, 1 classroom teacher, 2 counselors, and 2 career advisors. So again, kind of going back to what I was explaining earlier with all of the instructional, social, emotional, and behavioral supports, we make sure those things are implemented with the additional staff that we hire through the federal funding. So here, this last page is just, again, we want to take the opportunity tonight to talk about how we're going to continue with our PTC, which has already been established. And instead of creating or trying to have these different meetings for Title I and for PTC, we'd like to merge the group, because that PAC group is a required component of Title I. So we'd like to just kind of flow everything through one meeting. So we would like to have the PAC be like a smaller subcommittee of the PTC. That's our goal moving into the 21-22 school year. So I also threw some resources here on the page. There's a link at the bottom that I'm going to throw in the chat. It's a really great website that talks about all different opportunities for parents and schools, and it kind of gives a little bit more direction about what the PAC's responsibility is in the school, and just various other resources for parents. And then there's also clearances here that are required to be in the school. So any parent that's coming in to work on an event or an activity or just be in the classroom helping, they're required to have these clearances. So these are all on our website as well.
And correct me if I'm wrong, when they are volunteering, they're free, right?
Yes. Yep. There's one, the FBI one. I think if you haven't been in the state of Pennsylvania for so many years, there might be a charge to that one, but all the others are free.
Yeah, they need to check on volunteering at a school, and then it's free.
Okay, so does anyone, Tamara or Jamal or Cliff, have anything to add while I throw some of these links into the chat here?
No, like I said before, in elementary year, I'm already like almost done stamping the monthly events, because it looks like we're going back to normal school year. So as soon as we have it, I'm going to share it with Mr. George, and then he can start disseminating over the parents that we have, and starting from there, at least for the whole.
All I want to share is more or less, like Ms. O'Brien stated earlier, parental support is something that we've been struggling with for years. And I think the only way that we're going to be truly successful is if we have everyone play their role, play their part. So I'm asking everyone, if you're interested, please feel free to either call the main office, or you can reach me at jgeorge@eeschools.org, and I'll get back with you with some information as soon as it becomes available.
And in terms of setting up those meetings, so that in the survey that I put on here, there is, questions about like what time of day works best, and you can see right here all the questions in it. But there's an open-ended answer at the end. If there's anything additional that you would like to share, you can put it in the survey as well. All right, does anybody have any questions or concerns about any of the information presented? No? Okay. And we did record the presentation, so I'm going to have that posted on the website. If you know anyone that wasn't able to make it, we're going to send out a school messenger to let everyone know that they can access it on the website along with the survey. All right. Well, if nobody has anything else, have a great night and rest of the school year. Thank you.